Imagine waking up to a world where America's biggest ally in Europe is suddenly yesterday's news, China's navy is steaming right into our backyard in the Pacific, and the price of gas at your pump could spike because of a backroom deal in Moscow. That's not some dystopian movie, it's the headlines hitting us today. I'm David, and this is your private briefing on what just went down in the last 24 hours. Stick with me, because this stuff isn't just noise. It's the chessboard shifting under our feet, and it could hit your wallet, your security, and America's edge harder than you think. All right, let's dive in. Starting close to home, U.S. foreign policy. President Trump's team dropped a bombshell with the new national security strategy, calling Europe a decaying continent led by weak politicians. Yeah, you heard that right. It's a full pivot away from babysitting NATO, pushing instead for America to arm up against China and Russia on our terms. Trump's dialing up the heat on Ukraine too, telling Zelensky flat out to take the U.S. peace plan, or else no more blank checks without elections in 60-90 days. And get this, he's threatening fresh sanctions on the International Criminal Court unless they back off probes into him, Israeli leaders, and U.S. troops in Afghanistan. Why does this matter to you? Because if Europe splinters and Trump's cozying up to Putin while praising North Korea's border wall as a model, we're looking at higher defense spending here at home, pricier imports, and a dollar that's suddenly less king of the hill. America's pulling back, but the world's not waiting. It's forcing us to pick our fights smarter or pay the price in inflation and isolation. Shifting gears to the global economy, because nothing keeps you up at night like your 401k. The Fed's wrapping up its year tomorrow with what's looking like another rate cut, maybe 25 basis points, to juice a softening job market. But there's real division in the room. Some governors want to slam the brakes harder on inflation. Others say keep easing. Powell's out the door soon, with Trump eyeing a loyalist replacement. And that could mean wild swings in borrowing costs for your mortgage or car loan. Globally, trade's exploding, hitting a record $35 trillion this year, up 7%, but 2026 looks shakier with debt piling up and tariffs biting. China's trade surplus just smashed $1 trillion, but the IMF's wagging a finger. Beijing's too hooked on exports, ignoring domestic spending. For Americans, this means cheaper gadgets from Asia short-term, but long-term? Supply chains snarl, and if Trump's tariffs kick in harder, your grocery bill climbs as companies pass on the pain. We're talking real erosion of U.S. buying power if these imbalances tip into a trade war. Now, BRICS, those upstarts challenging our order. Russia's Putin just wrapped talks with Indonesia's new president, Prabowo, pushing deeper ties in energy and defense. Malaysia's jumping in as a partner state, eyeing BRICS as a bridge to ASEAN. And Iran's hosting a BRICS science summit, floating joint megaprojects to lock in tech sharing. But the real kicker, silver prices are through the roof, up over 100% this year, fueled by BRICS nations like India and Russia, hoarding it for solar panels and AI boom. They're not just talking de-dollarization anymore. Rumors swirl about an R5 basket currency blending their bucks. This hits us where it hurts. If BRICS trades more in their own coins, the dollar weakens, oil gets pricier in greenbacks, and our sanctions on Russia lose teeth. America's still the economic heavyweight, but these moves chip away at our leverage, meaning higher costs for everything from EVs to defense tech. Over in Europe and the EU, it's a powder keg of politics and green dreams. They just locked in a 90% emissions cut by 2040. Ambitious, sure, but watered down with foreign carbon credits to dodge the pain. Trump's NSS is ripping them apart, backing far-right nationalists and calling out migration as a crisis they're too soft to handle. EU ministers are huddling today to tighten asylum rules, bending to populist pressure amid a migrant surge. Von der Leyen's pushing back, but Trump's words sting, labeling the bloc an adversary in all but name. For us Yanks, a fractured Europe means NATO foot-dragging on Ukraine, pricier LNG exports to keep their lights on, and a backdoor for Russian gas to undercut our energy dominance. If the EU unravels, America's the one left holding the alliance bag. Higher taxes, stretched military, and markets jittery from the uncertainty. Middle East, always the hotspot. Israel's reopening the Allenby crossing into Jordan today, goods and aid flowing again after months of blockade. But that's small potatoes next to the shadows. A Druze leaders in Geneva begging for U.S. guarantees to protect Syria's minorities, fearing massacres without our muscle. In Gaza, anti-Hamas groups are swelling in Israeli zones, eyeing a post-ceasefire power grab despite losing key commanders. Hezbollah's getting hammered by IDF strikes in Lebanon, and Yemen's fracturing with Saudi pushes against Houthi holdouts. Trump's NSS? It's straight up ditching deep U.S. involvement here, betting Israel can solo Iran, while we focus on cartels south of the border. Diplomatic win, Israel and Bolivia just patched up ties after a Gaza spat, ambassadors incoming. But emotionally, this region's a tinderbox, families torn, aid trucks bombed. For Americans, it spells volatile oil, more on that in a sec, and refugee waves that could strain our borders if Europe buckles. We're safer with a stable Mideast, but Trump's pivot risks letting Iran regroup, hitting our troops and allies harder down the line. China and the Indo-Pacific, the big one. Beijing's naval flotilla, 4 warships, is prowling our Pacific allies, briefing Pacific Islands on their firepower. Tensions boiled over with Japan, Chinese radars locked on their jets during drills, U.S. just backed Tokyo hard, calling it reckless. Wang Yi's warning Tokyo off Taiwan meddling, while China's influence index ties ours in Asia, highest diplomatic score ever. Vietnam's getting flooded with Chinese factories dodging U.S. tariffs, pulling Hanoi deeper into Beijing's orbit, and U.S., Japan, South Korea trilateral? It's solidifying, but Trump's America First could fray it. This matters big. Our Navy's stretched thin, supply chains for chips and cars run through here. If China squeezes, it's not just Taiwan at risk, it's your iPhone prices and job security in tech hubs like Texas. We're talking a multipolar mess where America's edge dulls if we don't counterpunch. Finally, the nuts and bolts. Currency shifts, oil, sanctions, trade. Dollars dipping on Fed bets, boosting oil to $64 Brent. Steady but edgy with EU sanctions tightening on Russian diesel, jacking up crack spreads. Moscow's shadow fleet's dodging, but buyers like India and China are pausing shipments, fearing secondary hits. Trade tensions. China's griping tariffs severely blew global growth, while BRICS pushes local currency deals. Silver's mooning on their buys, hinting at broader commodity grabs. For you? Gas could nudge $4 a gallon if Russian barrels get choked, blame sanctions not sticking. Inflation ticks up, stocks wobble, but hey, that AI boom's masking some pain, for now. As the sun sets on this chaotic day, pause and think. We're not just spectators in this game. From the Fed's knife edge to China's shadow fleets, every move ripples back to your street. Your pump prices, your savings, the safety of our kids overseas. America's got the grit to lead, but only if we stay sharp, demand accountability from our leaders, and remember, power isn't given, it's forged. Thanks for tuning in to Patriot Secret. Hit subscribe, drop a comment. What's got you worried most? I'll be back tomorrow with the unfiltered truth. Stay vigilant, stay free. God bless.